Ladies and gentlemen, do I have a fun replay for you guys today. When I actually played this game, I had the recording on. But there was a point in this game which I thought it was going to be uninteresting, and I cut the recording out, and boy oh boy do I regret that. So, early in the game, I noticed that I was detected, but I couldn't see who was detecting me. And here the enemy Kitakaze pops up, and I figured out that the Kitakaze was the one who was detecting me. Right now I'm detected by the torpedo bombers hovering over the Groningen and the Akizuki over there. So I popped my Hydro, knowing that the Kitakaze is there, and undoubtedly he's probably launched his torpedoes.
Ship is on fire.
And the Chapayev has lit me on fire with one salvo, of course, because that's the meta we're in these days. And it's at this point when I go, the Akizuki should be in sight by now, but I probably can't see him because I'm not inside his detectability range. So I go, maybe I should turn away, and that's when I realize there's a Heinrich with that Chapayev, and when I spot the enemy St. Louis. And I go, holy crap, it's hot in here, I need to get the hell out. So I'm going to use the cover of this island to turn away, and you're going to see there's a Carasillo over there. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, so I apologize to anybody Italian. There's a Carasillo over there too, so basically it's me, the Groningen, and the North Carolina against 2 cruisers, 2 battleships, and a Kitakaze. So I don't really like my odds, so I turn away. There's secondary fire coming over there from the Heinrich, I would imagine, and I managed to avoid the Akizuki's torpedoes. There's the Heinrich right there. I mark him with my secondaries. I continue to turn away because I am nervous about showing any broadside to both those battleships. And the Chapayev here makes a big mistake. He turns and shows his broadside to me at 7 kilometers. Now, the Pomeran's guns aren't that great, but at 7 kilometers, 6 of them are going to have a hard time missing a paper-thin citadel on that Chapayev. At this point, I managed to go out of the firing range of the Heinrich's main battery, so I show broadside to the Carasillo, hoping he's going to be shooting at the North Carolina instead of me, and also because I'm about to duck behind this island. He fires sap at me, I get the front 2 guns off, his sap misses, and I got the back 2 guns lining up, but they don't reload in time as I'm turning the rudder, and I lose the firing angle, so I don't get the second round of shots off at the Carasillo. Seeing the Chapayev come in here, I figure why not dump some torpedoes in, considering he's on his way out, but I mean, with how quickly he's losing health, it's unlikely he's going to survive to see those torpedoes, and he goes down. The Groningen gets the kill. So right now, I'm deciding whether or not I want to go around this island on the side outside of the cap, or whether I want to go around the island on the cap side, or if I want to go around the island at all. And what I decide is that Heinrich's coming out into this channel, and I think I'm going to turn and try to get my other side's torpedoes away on the Heinrich. So that is why I am turning around right here. The Carasillo figures out that he's in deep shit, and he dives off behind this island. And I am turning the guns and turning the ship to get a shot at the Heinrich, and then the Kitakaze pops up. Secondaries go off, I fire 12 main battery guns, and it's a decent hit, but unfortunately doesn't take the Kitakaze down. I accidentally turned on my depth charge attack planes there, and then the Heinrich comes out, and he doesn't have his guns pointed at me. He's shooting at the friendly Akizuki. So my secondaries are going to open up to town, or go to town on him at 7.6 kilometers. I don't want my broadside exposed to him, so I'm kind of angling away as he runs. And I'm going to fire all 12 main battery guns with AP again. And at 8 kilometers, they're going to have a hard time missing. That's 11,000 damage from the main battery guns. And I'm just going to sit here and let the secondaries do their thing. And slowly but surely, we managed to kill the enemy Heinrich. That came from a torpedo out of our friendly Akizuki. Now the Carasillo, for a minute, looks like he's going to decide to peek out and come this way. But then he changes his mind. probably pretty wisely, considering the Ladugnum. I cannot pronounce that battleship's name. That's basically right off my bow right now, is chasing him back behind that island, and then I'm also here if he had peeked his head out. And on top of that, the friendly North Carolina is sitting there too, so he's got 3 battleships, kind of got him cornered. The best thing he could do here is probably turn tail and run directly down the line between 1 and 2 on the grid, but he doesn't. He decides he's going to come out and fight for his life against 2 destroyers and 3 battleships. Now, that's probably not the decision I would have made. I don't exactly like the Carasillo's odds here. He's going against a Tier 9 battleship, a Tier 8 battleship, a Tier 9 destroyer, and a Tier 8 destroyer. And son of a gun, here he comes. Coming. Oh my god, would you look at that? It's his broadside. Ooh. Yeah, that one hurt from here, guys. Dead broadside, even to the notoriously inaccurate guns on the Pommern. At 6 kilometers is not a good idea. And on top of that, there's 12 guns, not 8 like on the Bismarck, and not even 9 like on the Frederick or 8 like on the Frederick the Great. So he didn't exactly do fantastic. St. Louis coming out into this channel, so I dumped my torpedoes in. But I think the friendly battleship is gonna get rid of him before my torpedoes have a chance to get there. And he fires, and down he goes. So the St. Louis is dead. So when I was playing the game, this is where I cut the recording out. And why I cut the recording here is we've totally won this flank. We've destroyed every enemy ship on this flank. And the next closest enemy ship is that Minnesota, who is at about E7 right now. He's out of my main battery gun range, and to be honest, given the quantity of ships we have over there, I kind of expected them to finish him off before I got there, along with the Cossack, the Umahari, and even the Fletcher. I deeply, deeply regret cutting out the recording at that point, because just when I thought it wasn't going to be any more fun, it got more fun. And in the current meta, German battleships can suck, and they can be extremely frustrating, because you'll play some games where you won't ever fire the torpedoes. I'd say probably 4 out of 5 games I play in the Pommern, I never use the torpedoes. On top of that, you just get HE spammed to death by literally every cruiser on the enemy team. And even though there's a turtle back, and it's basically impossible to citadel this thing, it is really easy to deal massive amounts of penetration to the upper deck. So, I take shots at the enemy Minnesota here. And me being me, I'm in a Pommern, let's close the distance. So there's 3 penetrations there for 88-18 damage. And the Pommern's got a pretty good speed. At 31 knots, it can get there pretty quickly. And I'm rapidly closing on the Minnesota. He's at 18 kilometers, and I'm closing at about probably a kilometer every 20 seconds. And so I pre-target him with my secondaries. He's kind of marching in towards the cap. And I'm keeping an angle to him just in case I do get detected. But I also want a lot of my secondaries to be able to do work. And then all of a sudden I spot the enemy Cossack, who I did not expect to be there. And the Minnesota looks like he's going to duck off behind this island. So I have a decision to make here. The first decision is, do I want to take on the Minnesota or the Cossack? And the second decision is, which direction do I want to go? I decide that I'm going to load the high explosive, and I'm going to go get rid of the enemy Cossack, because the enemy Cossack is threatening the B-cap, and we're even on ships now. And my goal here is not to let that enemy Cossack take the B-cap. But I'm going to be too late, and all of a sudden, oh my god, there's the Minnesota. Where'd he come from? Unfortunately, I don't have armor piercing loaded, so I'm gonna have to fire high explosive at him, and I take a guess as to where he was. I manage to hit him, I don't light him on fire, do minimal amounts of damage, and for a second there I stop, thinking I'm just gonna let the secondaries farm him. But then I think, hold on a minute. This guy absolutely cannot dodge my torpedoes if I come at him. So I decide I'm gonna go full speed ahead right at him, let the secondaries do their thing, and if I can get the torpedoes off, great. I've reloaded armor piercing at this point. There's shots coming in from the Cossack, and my hydro is up, so I have managed to spot his torpedoes. Now, I take a blind shot here, which was, in hindsight, really stupid, because I had no idea really where the Minnesota or the Cossack were, and I almost over-dodged this torpedo, but I managed to miss it. The Cossack comes up, as does the Minnesota. Minnesota's at 5 kilometers, fires an armor-piercing salvo at me. They basically all bounce. I'm letting the secondaries go to town on both the Cossack and the Minnesota. I got 2 fires, so I repair. Minnesota's dead. Cossack's making the turn, but he's ducking off behind the Minnesota's wreck here, so I'm holding my fire. And then he's clear, and I shoot. Secondary's got him marked. I deal about 6,500 damage to him with the main battery guns, and the secondaries are still going to town on him. And because he's still detected and my hydro's up, he's not gonna make it. And down he goes. The friendly Akazuki gets the kill. So at this point, that leaves the Fletcher and the Nakhimov. Or, sorry, the Fletcher and the Shikaku. There was a Nakhimov in the last game. The Fletcher pops up behind the island here. I'm just gonna sit and cap, because we need this cap. And I take a 1 in a million shot, right? There's no chance, right? Are you kidding me? For once in my life, the notoriously inaccurate German guns do me a favor, and I take down the Fletcher. And so again, I probably would have cut the recording out here. Oh shoot, there's the Shikaku. And I'm just sitting here capping at this point. I'm not expecting to kill the Shikaku, right? But I think, yeah, why the heck not, right? I'll turn my back turrets. We'll shoot everything we have at him. I managed to get the cap. Anti-aircraft guns going off in the Shikaku's dive bombers. I take shots at him with the front guns. The rear guns are turning. Rear guns shoot also. At this range, these guns are essentially borderline useless. I mean, look at that dispersion. It is terrible. But once in a while, you get a good shot. His health is dwindling down. I'm reversing to make sure I still have the angle. Front guns are reloading. And he's turning. You guys know how this is gonna go, right? Because, I mean, right, it has to go this way, right? 1,000 health, 398 health. And I strike him and get the kill. 105,000 damage, a hell of a fun battle. I mean, an absolute riot of a battle. I had a blast, and I actually didn't look at the team score at the time. I was top of the team in XP, which I didn't know until this very moment. But holy crap, man, that is a fun battle. And this Akazuki player, this guy was an absolute legend. He played fantastic. So, Rissian, if you're out there, just saying, you're an awesome player, dude.